The Adidas Pro 3, the Puma FAST-R Nitro Elite 3. This, a probable marathon shoe. This, probably the best super shoe on the market right now. Today I've got 5x2K on the cards and we're going to be doing a little bit of A/B testing. And as I said, my goal today, take you guys through the workout, get back and talk about which one is more efficient. In particular today, I'm looking for cadence and stride length. Now this is my LT1 session I've been doing for the last few weeks, and to be honest, I've been using non-plated shoes for this, mainly the Evo SL. So it's going to feel nice today to slip on something a little bit more powerful. But most importantly, I'm just intrigued because the Pro 3 is probably going to be my marathon shoe, probably. I did a video a few weeks ago about the DV8 Nitro Elite 3 from Puma, but after last weekend's long run in this shoe, I think I'm pretty much sold on using this one. And truth be told, I'm a bit scared of the FAST-R Nitro Elite 3. It's a great shoe, but I'm not sure I'm strong enough as a runner to handle it over the 26.2, so I have ruled it out from the running, but it is an absolute weapon. It did amazing on my recent 10K, and it's going to get used in the build-up to this marathon as well. And we don't really count rep 1 because rep 1 is just a bit of a warm-up. So what I'm going to be doing shoe-wise is 1 and 2 in the Adidas, go and swap when we get back up there, 3 and 4 in the Puma, and then I'll swap back into the Adidas for number 5. Right, here we go, changeover time. It's gonna be like a Formula 1 pit stop. So we've got the first 2 done in the Pro 3. I'll tell you what, take me back 3 weeks ago to that 30-degree dry heat. That is way better than 20 and this humidity. Anyway, 6:06, what looked like a very decent heart rate, but that's not what I'm interested in today. Let's get changed. Here we go, Pumas are on. Oh, so sweaty. Here we go. Number 3. Absolutely night and day, as clear as. These are just, if I had stronger calves, there'd be no question. I just don't, completely changes the way I run. That was 5:57 per mile. Heart rate, just glancing at it, didn't even go above 155. Absolute madness. There we go, 5:59. Honestly, night and day. As I said down the other end, if I knew that my calves could hold these shoes for 26.2, it would be a no-brainer. Slip the Pro 3 back on for 1 more rep. So there we go, 5th rep done. Gotta be honest, when I slipped these back on and got going, it felt like I was wearing clogs. Such a difference. In my UK size 13, the Pumas are 232 grams and the Pro 3s are 282. So there's 50 grams difference, and it was really very noticeable when I slipped these back on for the last rep. But let's go back and have a look at the data. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to find. Obviously the Puma reps were faster. Let's check out the cadence and the stride length and a couple of other bits and give you my thoughts on these two. I love the Pro 3, but honestly, if I think that my calves could hold up 26.2 in the Pumas, we wouldn't even be making this video. Well, we would, because it's fun to do these tests, but you know what I mean. There we go, a really good session. Very happy to test both of these two shoes out. This is a comparison that I've wanted to do for a while. I think naturally it's a no-brainer to understand that the Puma is going to be better than the Adios Pro 3. First of all, this is a previous iteration of Adidas's current super shoe, but of course we know the performance benefits this one has. It's been marketed to us a lot. We were sold the hype, I bought the hype, and I can confirm the hype is real with this shoe. So let's get into it. We'll talk about the data very quickly. I just wanted to say patience is key. The training block is paying off nicely. Today's average heart rate on the run was 142 for the whole run. Last week was 143. And I've checked back for the previous weeks of this same session, and we were looking at numbers in and around 148 beats a minute per session, 149, and even 151. So things are really starting to click and coming down. Of course, today I had some stops in between the reps, so that would naturally bring my heart rate down a little bit more. I think on a normal day without the stops and the filming, I'll be looking more around 143, 144, but that's fine. We're making some significant progress when it comes to fitness, so I'm very happy with that. Let's get into the data. So I'll pop on screen now a first part of this graph, which is of course the Pro 3 for reps 1 and 2, the Puma Fast-R for 3 and 4, and the Adios Pro 3 once again for rep 5. You can see the time and the pace, the average heart rate and the max heart rate there for those. Now, I didn't showcase the max heart rate during the video there, but it's just always interesting to see where I peaked at. I think what was really interesting today was the control later in the run. I often find I get a bit of heart rate drift in and around that rep 4 to 5 area. It was nice to see rep 5 was back down, so everything was nice and controlled. Once again, that makes me feel really good about fitness, but let's get into the couple of bits of data that I'm really excited to share. So let's start with cadence. As you can see, the first 3 reps were exactly the same. Rep 4 was down 1 and rep 5 was down another 1. So basically it looks like an average of around 165 for the 5 reps in total. I can definitely agree with rep 5. I was feeling like it was so hard just to get going again after putting those Pumas on. I felt a little bit long and sluggish in the stride. It took me about half a rep to get into things, so that's not a surprise, to be honest with you. But overall that looks in and around the same as what I've been doing on previous weeks, so pretty happy with that. So the stride length, as you can see, is where the difference lays. So as you can see for the Adios Pro 3, we're looking around 5.15, 5.22 and 5.28 foot, or 1.57, 1.59 or 1.6 meters. And for the Puma Fast-R Nitro Elite 3, we're looking at 5.35 foot or 1.63 meters. And that is exactly where I was expecting to see the difference. Now, I think what was really apparent throughout that run and my whole process, hopefully you can see by the data, was to keep the same effort level and to not get carried away. And I was honestly a little bit worried when I saw the paces of the Puma, and I thought to myself, gosh, I must be working a bit harder. Obviously wasn't. Obviously rep 4 is coming back up, so the heart rate's a little bit higher on that one, but that's always the case. But for me, if you look at it logically, and for advanced runners, you'll understand this. Maybe for more newer and beginner runners, you can appreciate that I am covering between 3 centimeters, which is here, and 6 centimeters per step further in the Puma. So I'm potentially traveling from obviously reps 1 comparing to reps 4, that much further per step. If you think about that over a mile, or I suppose most of you work in kilometers, so over a kilometer, that's a hefty difference. And that's exactly why the pace was a lot quicker. But that was great, kind of the result I expected, and really the point of what I was trying to prove with this video. It's just how efficient this shoe is. I was not putting in any extra effort. You can see that I did not ramp things up at all, but the pace was such a massive difference. Now, there's a couple of things obviously between this shoe and the Pro 3 that I just want to highlight that I noticed as soon as I slip this one on. Number 1 is going to be the weight, obviously. This is a much lighter shoe than the Pro 3, but the aggression of this shoe, just how aggressive the rocker feels in this compared to the Pro 3. I felt like I was stepping off a curb, as you sometimes do with these super shoes with more early stage rockers that come back a little bit into the shoe. So naturally that puts you up on your toes a little bit more. And what I found with this shoe, and what this shoe does for me as someone with maybe not the best running form, is it puts me up on my toes a lot more, and I naturally find myself thinking about running taller, putting my hips forward a bit more, moving so much more smoothly and efficiently, which once again I expected, and as you can see, the data proves. But the only downside for me with this shoe is it really does work my calves a lot more, because I find myself up on my toes quite significantly, and that's not how I naturally run. It changes me to become a more efficient runner, and it's a wonderful thing, but this is why I'm worried over a longer distance. I could literally feel as I was running my calves engaging so much more, and that's absolutely fine. I'm pretty sure I could get away with it for quite a long distance, but what I don't want to do is get to the point where I'm in a marathon where maybe things are going well, that would be amazing, and I get to mile 20 and I'm feeling really good and everything tightens up and seizes up. I don't want to risk that, and that's why I'm ruling it out at this stage. I would need to get a lot more running in this type of shoe. I find the same in the Street Fly 2, just such a brilliant shoe. Both of them are great, so fast. They really promote good running form for me, and I'm sure they will for a lot of you guys, but that's why I felt like the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 3 was a bit more of a safer option. And I could often find myself, as I was running, if I did feel a little bit lazy towards the end of the rep perhaps, I did feel myself maybe landing a bit further back in the shoe, and it did actually feel at that point that I was kind of sinking back a bit and then having to go forward, and I was just being very conscious to stay up on my toes. So once again, as I said, a fun little test to do between these two shoes. I don't think anything's really going to come close, in my rotation anyway, to this shoe at the moment, but we'll see what the other brands have to offer later in the year. Of course, I just remind you all, because I know I get a lot of questions about it, why I'm testing the 3 and not the 4. Well, the 4 doesn't go up to my size. I need a 13.5 in Adidas. I have tried a 14. It's just too baggy, and a 13's too tight. So at the moment, I'm stocking up on the Pro 3. Shout out to Ian for this pair of Pro 3s. I actually have another one as well. Ian was very kind and I haggled him a little bit. I'm very grateful he let me get him down to £65 for this pair. Had around about 75 kilometers in the shoe, so I grabbed them off him. These are going to be going into the rotation as well, because the pair I got off Tim are now around 400 miles, and I'll be honest with you, I can completely feel the difference between this pair and Tim's. Tim's are so soft now, they've got so many miles in, and we know how long a Light Strike Pro takes to break in, so I need to get some more miles in this to really break this one in. So very grateful to Ian once again for these. So it might be good fun to test out the Deviate Nitro Elite against these in a similar format. I don't know, it was good fun to do this one anyway, and once again just proving to myself that this thing is an absolute goat at the moment. We'll see what happens later in the year. I've got a couple of races in the build up to my autumn marathon. I am going to be using, unless anything else comes in, I am going to be using this. I am very comfortable with the Pro 3. Probably that's going to be my marathon shoe after last weekend's long run. It just felt so good, and it does just work with me so well. But I will give this one a run out. I've got a half marathon and a 10 miler booked, and you never know, if it surprises me, I might change my mind. I might try and get another couple of long runs in this thing and actually just see how it feels. But ultimately at the moment, I've just got to be careful. I want to bank a good time at Abingdon and kick on ready for next year. And if you want to see how the Puma FAST-R Nitro Elite got on in a race situation the other week, check out this video up here where I ran a course PB at the Frampton 10K. That was a good one. If you're interested in seeing how the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 3 got on a long run and my discussion whether that will be my marathon shoe or not, check out this video down here, and I'll see you guys over on one of those.